friends, it's Miss Piggy. I'd like to welcome everyone back to our art series called At Home, where we create art at home for our home. I'm here back at my grandma's garage and I'm super excited to introduce our last art project of this art series. So today, friends, we're going to be making a tablecloth out of paper. And I will also be introducing a very special guest artist that will be joining me today. And I hope that you will also be able to have someone special create art with you today as well. Before we introduce our guest artist, I would like to go over the technique of the day, which is crayon rubbings, which is an impression of an embossed surface made by placing a piece of paper over it and rubbing it with crayon. In other words, today we're going to be finding different objects with texture that we can place under a piece of paper, and over that piece of paper we will be doing crayon rubbings. So let's find out what we need for today. Blank paper, at least 4 pieces. 2 for you and maybe 2 for your guest artist. But if you have more, that's cool. You'll also be needing some tape for later. And of course, some crayons without the peel. So that'll be a fun, cool project in itself, which is taking off all that paper on your crayons. And here's the fun part. With your guest artist or your special someone, find some items around your home that you can possibly crayon rub with. So here I found a bunch of barbecue sticks or marshmallow sticks. I don't know, friends, if you have these around your house, but these are very special to me because I love to roast marshmallows in the winter time with my family. So I have a bunch of these that I'm going to be exploring with. My guest artist found this cool bin, but it has cool circles that kind of remind me of cheese, if you know what I mean. And we also found this really cool piece of fabric. I don't know if you could tell in this camera, but it has really cool textures to it. So we're gonna be exploring with this. Before we get started, let's go over our values, friends, which I'm sure you all remember by now. Respect yourself, respect your art, and respect your space. Okay, friends, I'm about to introduce you to someone very special. I'm gonna introduce my special guest artist, Doom. He's actually my son. Come on in. Say hello to all the friends.
Everyone.
He's taller than me now. Friends, I don't know if you remember Doom. I have a daughter, Pebbles, as well, but she's in my grandma's house right now doing homework. So Doom is my son. He was at the art exhibitions that we used to have. So I don't know if you remember him, but he's a lot taller now and he's gonna be able to create this cool tablecloth with us, okay? So, friends, why a tablecloth? I chose a tablecloth because, well, actually for a lot of different reasons, but the main thing is I feel like it represents togetherness, you know, taking time to gather around a table. Maybe you have a special tradition with your family where you get to sit at a table and eat together. Maybe it's a birthday coming up or a holiday. So this is a great way to create art with your family and actually incorporate it in some of your own traditions at home. So Doom and I are gonna create this tablecloth. So we're gonna begin by kind of looking at the items that we have found and collected. And we're gonna start by taking a paper. So grab your blank paper and we're gonna start with one object at a time. So Doom, go ahead and pick an object. I'm gonna use this cloth first, and feel free to switch off with your partner or your family members. Maybe you have a lot more siblings and they each can do a paper cloth. Okay, so go ahead and grab paper and then place it over your object. Take your crayons and then just begin to explore using the edge of your crayon right over your paper, okay? So you're gonna hold down your paper with one hand Your other hand you're gonna use to begin your crayon rubbing. So you wanna apply some pressure to it. Okay? I'm using my whole palm to hold this down, and I'm using my crayon to just go right off the page. And this, friends, is also a great way to explore with color layering, color mixing and blending. So this is my first phase using that cloth. So if you look closely, you'll see some of the texture appear. So I'm gonna keep going with this. Oh, Doom, why don't you show the cheese basket? I call it a cheese basket. But look at that, friends. So what we can do here, now that we have one layer, is you could repeat this pattern using a different part of your paper. So either, like Doom is, he's just sliding his paper over to the right so that he can create another pattern of cheese art. And what I'm doing is, once again, I'm holding down that paper and applying as much pressure as I can so that the textures can come about. I'm actually blending right over the edge of the orange using brown crayon. What colors are you using, Doom?
Purple.
Purple and green. Let's share that. Let's do a close-up. Look at that. So he can also continue to add that texture on his paper. He can even explore with layering colors right over it. So it's up to you. Kind of explore with the different opportunities that you can create. So here's mine. So I did like a blend of orange to brown. And I'm gonna continue actually adding more layers. So I actually wanna try green. And you could try filling your page. So friends, what you wanna do is you wanna be able to fill in the whole page. You could even explore going in a different direction with your crayon rubbings. Right now I'm going actually right to left, and that creates an added layer of texture. It kind of looks like hatching, cross hatching. Now I'm just going to end it with some blue. Once again, I'm just traveling right to the edge of this piece of paper. So here we go, right here. I've finished and filled out this whole page. What I'm gonna do with this page is I'm actually going to add a different texture this time. So I'm gonna explore with adding another layer underneath with a different object. Aside. How about we switch?
Alright.
Yeah. So we switch objects. So you try this cloth and I'll try the cheese basket. And friends, you could either layer it over the same page or you could start a new piece of paper. It's up to you. But I'm actually gonna layer it on the same page. And you could switch up your colors from here. Ooh, I like this cheese pattern. What I'm doing right here is I just finished taking a layer of orange crayon and rubbing it right over. This is really cool. I really like the way this turned out. I'm actually gonna go with this whole row with red and orange. I'm really liking the way that this direction is going. I'm gonna do one more red. I wonder what objects you found, friends. So here's my first row with the cheese basket. I really like the way that looks. I'm actually going to continue it all the way down, switching my colors as I go. I'm going to try this green out. Ooh. So red and green, friends, are actually called complementary colors. And the thing with complementary colors is that when they're next to each other, they're the most vibrant. So you'll notice that they stand out so well when they're put next to each other. I'm going to layer this with bright green to give it a little bit of a pop. Let's take a look at what Doom is working on. So Doom is, he's exploring with the material that we found. And it looks like he's layering with green and orange. It kind of reminds me of carrots. I don't know if you remember, friends, we have a guinea pig. Awesome, we have a guinea pig, Wugsley. Maybe some of you remember pictures of him. We feed him carrots, so this kind of reminds me of Wugsley. So I like how a lot of this art is very reminiscent of our family. Some of the things we care so much about. So I hope you find objects and parts of your art that represent things you love. So here's mine, I layered it all. I have my red and orange, my green and lime green, and my straight blues. Kind of also reminds me of bubbles. I'm gonna actually, friends, start with a new object. So from here, I think I want to explore with the marshmallow skewers. So with these, I'm gonna play around with. So depending on how I position them on the table, that's how we will do our designs. So Doom, I don't know if you want to try this pattern out too,
Yeah.
but they're just the marshmallow skewers. So you can make different pattern shapes using your object. So depending on where you want it on your table, just play around with some ideas. Right now I'm just kind of putting them like that. Can you see it? It's like a claw, Wolverine or something like that. I'm just gonna layer my paper right over. And from here I'm gonna use my palm to hold it all down so they don't wiggle around too much. It's okay if it does. And then explore with your colors, friends. I'm gonna try this brown. Ooh! I really like the way this is coming out. It actually reminds me of my grandma's backyard. I don't know why, it just does. So far, that's what I have with the marshmallow skewers. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna reposition my skewers somewhere along the other half of my page. Just to like create coverage. Doom, how are you positioning your skewers?
I'm making them into triangles.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea. That's a very detailed step. So how did you do that?
So I'm angling the marshmallow sticks kind of like this, and then just move it.
Awesome. So he's angling them, and one at a time he's doing his crayon rubbing, and then he's angling it again to create the other angle of the triangle, and then doing the crayon rubbing. Awesome, I'm actually gonna play with that idea next. So now I'm just taking the other half that's blank, and I'm positioning it, once again, holding down my hand over the skewers so they don't skew away. Just layering that. Friends, if you don't have crayons, always work with anything that you can use. Maybe you don't have crayons, maybe you have pencils. You can also do this with pencils. Maybe you don't have pencils on hand, but maybe you have chalk. So try different mediums if you need to, and explore. And friends, this is our last project of this series, so I do encourage you to implement other ideas that we've worked on in the past couple of months. So depending on what you have around, you could always incorporate different things. I'm actually all done with the marshmallow skewers for this page. But what I'm gonna do right now is actually just crayon rub right over using brown with nothing under it, just the table. I wonder what's gonna happen. So you could play with that idea too, of just filling in without necessarily an object underneath your page and see what happens. I really like the sound. It's very calming to my ears. And it's really fun to just see the different textures that come about. The textures here without an object underneath remind me of wood, which is interesting because, it is a brown crayon and this is a wooden desk. So let's see what it looks like. I'm excited to share. There we go. It's like a forest. That's why it reminds me of my grandma's backyard, because she had lots of plant life and nature textures and all that stuff. I really like this one. I'm gonna play again with the marshmallow skewers, but I love the idea of triangles. I'm gonna play with that idea. I like how Doom had that different idea. So for me, I'm just gonna create happy triangles all around. I'm gonna switch up my color. How about orange? I've been really drawn to the color orange. Here's my first triangle. I'm just gonna do lines all the way around. Who knows where it will go? But that's sometimes the fun part of art. Is you can take it wherever it can go. So I'm gonna hold down my stick and my paper and just rub right over the stick. Woohoo! This is awesome. This is actually reminding me of a sun. Remember we made those sunshine coasters, friends? I've been appreciating the sunny days lately because it was so cold not too long ago. Woo! I'm almost finished, I think, with my, I'm gonna call these sun rays. Wow, Doom, can you show our friends what you've come up with so far with your triangles?
Winter, like pine trees.
Yes, pine trees. You know, friends, we bought a pine tree last year, and I think I remember telling some of my friends, if you remember, but we had bought a pine tree, right? And I put it in my room. It's still there, and it's still green. And I barely put water in it. I don't know how, but it's still there. And it's been pretty much a year now. Yeah, it's magical. Okay, friends, So I have my rays of sun. And what I'm kind of wanting to do is add yellow. Or orange. Yeah, orange. So I'm just gonna like color that in. I'm gonna fill it in. Alright friends. Here are my sun rays slash Doritos. They've become Doritos now. You know Miss Piggy and Doritos. Okay friends. Now that we have enough pieces of paper to create a tablecloth, we're gonna head to our last step of our project. So go ahead and grab your tape and then we'll assemble together. Okay friends, so Doom and I finished all of our pieces. So now it's time to assemble it all together into a tablecloth. So from here, friends, you can analyze and look at your artwork and see how you want to arrange it, okay? I recommend turning your paper landscape, which is sideways. So this is vertical, this is horizontal. So from here, it can create more coverage across the table, for example. So figure out how you want to put all your pieces of paper. You could alternate things, you could connect things. So it's up to you kind of how you want it to go. So we'll just arrange. What do you think, Doom?
I think I'm
Cool, so we'll just connect it. It's okay to overlap. For example, there is like a bit of a length rectangle here. So for me, I'm gonna overlap it with my piece. So once you align them and overlap how you choose, you can start taping it down. So we'll just slide that down. So with your tape, you don't have to tape all of it. What you can do is take like little strips of tape. I would start in the middle. I'll make sure that it's aligned. So just start in the middle. I'm gonna show the camera really quick. So that's kind of where the tape is. Can you see that in the middle? Yes. I'm gonna overlap with my wood piece. I'm gonna cover it a little bit. Once again, align it so that the edges are flush. Try to make it as flush as possible. And then we're going to start taping these. So maybe Doom can tape where he wants to overlap. So it's up to you where you want it to go. Just make sure it's aligned. There you go. Maybe go over it, huh? Because it's sticking up. All right, and our last piece. Cool, so now we have all the middles taped. And just to give it more security, which sometimes it might unravel, is you can tape down the sides now. So find where you taped it. And put tape on the sides to connect the pieces together. Friends, I don't know if you remember, some of you might remember our What We Bring to the Table art show, where we created tablecloth with paper as well using patterning, and we connected all of your friends' individual pieces of patterning to create a big tablecloth. Do you remember that? That was super fun. All right, so we're almost finished here for our reveal. So if you have a table, feel free to put your tablecloth down, and you can always decorate your tablecloth with different centerpieces. Who knows? on your tablecloth. All right, friends, thank you for joining us today. I hope you had a lot of fun during this art series. I hope you were able to explore with art at home and stay organized while in style. And I hope this art project brings you together with your family. So I hope everyone takes care during this time. I hope to eventually see you in person again. If not, be well, be safe, and be creative always. Thank you, friends. Bye.